What is going on, guys? This is Crozin and I am back, this time with a video on Redfall for a Jacob stealth build. So Jacob is the default character that you can select when you start up Redfall, and if you really want that Dishonored vibe, Jacob is the way to play because he is all based around stealth. So it'll create a really fun playthrough if you enjoy Dishonored. So in this video I will go over some of the skill points that you want to select in the talent trees and just some basic tips, as well as what kind of loadout that you want for your weapons. So here we are in the skill tree for Jacob, and he has three main abilities, those being the Raven, the Cloak, and the Heartstopper ability. So all three of these are real good abilities, but there's one that stands out more than the others, and that is the Cloak ability. So we're going to be focusing on this one first. Now as you see, I'm level 24 and I got 23 skill points to spend. I'm at near the end of the game, so this is a good baseline to kind of give you guys enough of points to allocate here. You're going to be around this level near the end of the game, give or take, depending on how many side quests you've done and if you've played co-op or not. But the first thing you want to do is go ahead and wait until you're level 3. Go ahead and pick up battery efficiency and camouflage field. Then you will be level 5 and you can pick up air supercavitation from here. This will allow you to move faster every time you are cloaked, so the earlier the better for that one. Then I like to go over here, pick up vicious strike, and then also pick up hidden strike. And then I go for battery recharge at that point, and then I max it out with perfect ghost. Now as you see, I've spent 12 skill points, so I believe you're going to be around level 12 here if I'm not mistaken. And once you max that out, you got a couple of different ways to go from here. One thing I like to do is I like to pick up melee training at this point. This will allow you to have increased melee damage. It's not really going to be useful against humans or weaker vampires, but against those special or elite vampires that have a little bit more health, you're not going to be able to one-shot them with your melee damage, so this is where melee training is useful. So at this point, you have two different options to go for. You can go through the Heartstopper tree, or you could go through the Raven tree. What I personally like to do is I go for extended magazine, and then I go for flatline. This will allow you to not only have your Heartstopper last longer and you have more ammo, but as soon as you defeat an enemy, it will aim automatically to the next enemy for a headshot. So it can really open up your damage for just a very short amount of time, but it's perfect. And it's something that will really help you on the boss fights or against special or elite vampires. Then from there, I go into the Raven tree. And one thing I like to go for is Bird's Eye, and then I go for Marked for Death. This will make it to where marked enemies take more damage from all sources. It's a really good ability, so you want to pick that up. You could even go for this one before you mess with the Heartstopper tree. As I said, it's personal preference. And then from here, you could go for Early Bird, and then you could go for Pervasive Memory. Now, I got 2 skill points left, and what I like to go for is Dead Eye. Really, at this point, you're going to be near the end of the game. You're not really going to need these skill points. It's not going to be totally necessary for your build, so I just pick up Dead Eye. You got another option here. If you play co-op a lot, you could go for Shot in the Arm 1 and 2, as this is the only co-op ability that's useful for Jacob. He does have this one as well, which is called Drill Instructor, which your allies will have increased headshot damage to humans. I really don't understand this point and also the sharpshooter point, because humans die in one headshot anyway, so these perks are kind of useless for any kind of build. But I try to stay away from Killer Corvus. I don't really like this one. A lot of times I find out that if my Raven accidentally hits an enemy while I'm stealth, then everyone is alerted and I got the whole army on my ass at that point. So for some reason, I don't know if this ability is bugged or if that's the way that it's supposed to be intended, but a lot of times my Raven accidentally hits enemies and it causes a whole storm that goes down. So I try to stay away from that one. So just to give you guys some other pointers here, I don't really see too much use in the shock and awe perk and the heartburst perk. The enemies are going to die very quickly anyway, so knocking them down and dealing damage over time doesn't really seem that useful. And then also transfusion and adrenaline rush. The whole point of being a stealth kind of character is to not get hit, so I don't really think you're going to need to be able to heal too much. And then that also goes for quick recovery. Having increased health regeneration when your health is low doesn't really make sense for a stealth character. So then the last point that I want to touch on here is these ammo perks. You got these ammo perks which give you additional ammo for all of your weapon sources, and then you also have this deeper pockets perk which gives you more lockpicks and more rewire kits. There is no reason to go for any of these perks, because every time you start a mission, a good tip to do is to always buy your ammo at a safe house and buy your lockpicks and buy your rewire kits. That way you will never run out and you will never have to worry about having these perks in any situation. So this is how you want your skill tree to go down. So now let's go into the loadouts. So for the loadout, the main weapon that you want to have is a silent sniper rifle. Always try to look out for silencers, since those will be better for a stealth character. For my secondary weapon, I like to always have a stake launcher on me at all times. Stake launchers are really useful against those greater enemies or those boss fights. Any kind of fight that's going to be longer and drawn out, where you're going to have to go in and out of stealth, this is where stake launchers are really useful, because they can provide the most damage and they can whittle down vampires pretty quickly. And then for the last weapon, I just like to go with something that has a stake equipped. So that can either be an assault rifle or a shotgun. It's really just what I'm in the mood for. Most of the time I just stick to an AR, but if I want to go up close and personal, I will go to a shotgun. So I want to talk about pistols real quick. Some people like to use them. I'm not a fan of pistols. The only time a pistol can be useful for Jacob would be if you have a silenced pistol, or if you have a pistol like Ambition, where the bullets can kill the vampires without having to need to use a stake. So if you don't have one of these weapons, then you always want to have at least 1 out of 3 of your weapons to have a stake on them, so that way you can always get rid of vampires pretty quickly. So the last thing I want to talk about are blood remnants. Blood remnants are real crucial to all of your characters, and they provide a huge health increase, and they give you a lot of nice traits. Most of the time though, you're just going to want to go with the one that has the highest level, since this one gives you the most health increase. But sometimes you'll come into one like this, Blood Prism, where it'll give you a special trait related to Jacob, where the cloak battery will recharge faster when you are hit by an enemy. So if you find one of these are really good to have, but otherwise, if you have one that's a little bit of a lower level, you might just want to go for the one that has the maximum level to give you the most health increase available. So that should do it, guys. This is how you want to go about playing a stealth character in Redfall, and Jacob and all of these skill trees and these talents that I showed you will get you to where you need to be. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, let me know, and I will see you later.